And when a door opens, then you can't be afraid to walk through that door. Even if you fail while walking through that door, that's a lesson to learn when you walk through there that you can apply later in life in another area to help you succeed.
Every great business begins with a bold idea. Welcome to Mission Entrepreneurship, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of extraordinary entrepreneurs who've defied the odds. Discover the relentless spirit and creative minds of those who dared to innovate and take risks. Together, we'll reveal the grit and determination it takes to achieve the unthinkable mission of entrepreneurship. If you choose to accept it. Welcome back to another episode of Mission Entrepreneurship. I'm really excited for this one. I got Coach Williams here. I've done a lot of work with Coach Williams through the Sharpens mentoring program, where we actually mentor troubled youth in Las Vegas and help them find a better path, making better decisions. I'm super excited for this one. I've known Coach Williams for a minute now, but I'm going to let him introduce himself. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be on this with you, and I'm honored to tell my story. All right. Well, let me start with why they call me coach. All right. They call me coach because I'm a retired football coach. I coached football for 25 years at every level. And when I came here to Las Vegas, I thought that I would walk away from all that stuff. But the first thing that happened is one day I was on the strip and somebody yelled across the casino and said, "Hey, coach." And it was one of my kids from back in California that I hadn't seen in about 10 years. So the name just kind of stuck. And I honor that word coach because it's what got me straight in my life. I came from a small town, a relatively small town in my mind, Pensacola, Florida. And I was a troubled youth. I got in a lot of trouble. And my mom did her best to try to get me on the right path. But I didn't listen very well to her. And my father was dealing with some medical issues, so he wasn't always there. But I had a football coach, Coach Cushon. He was my football coach in high school, and he came to me and said, "Hey, look, you're better than that. You deserve to do better. You need to stop acting out." All that stuff Coach Cushon told me didn't make any sense to me until Vietnam, until I went into the military. And when I went into the military and I started seeing bodies being shipped back to the States and all kind of other stuff, those words that Coach Cushon said to me began to make sense. And I was lucky enough to have some senior NCOs that took an interest in me. And they took me up under their wings, under their belt, and they began to mentor me. And I changed my life. I committed my life to trying to help others because Coach Cushon did it for me. He didn't have to. I could have been dead or in prison, and I know I was headed that way if it wasn't for Coach Cushon. And so coach means a lot to me. And I love the title, and I'm hoping that I'm doing some real good work using that as my mantle, being a coach.
Yeah. Something I want to touch on that too. There's been many moments since we started working I started working with Iron Sharpens Iron about I think like a year and a half ago or so. But there's been many moments where even when I'm going through something and I show up there, just the way that you hold yourself and talk, like you've brought me to tears before with saying the right things I needed to hear and putting me back on track with anything that's going on in my life. I find that showing up on Saturdays for mentoring, that I also have just found my own family and brotherhood and you as a mentor to me as well. So I want you to know that, like, coach, like I'm always so proud to call you coach. When I my girlfriend knows when we're on the road and everything, and I talk about coach, she knows who I'm talking about. That's why I had to give her your name to set this whole thing up.
Well, that's very rewarding to have you tell me that. One of the things that happen when you go through the struggles that I did when I was young It prepares you to deal with a lot of situations. So when I deal, whether I'm dealing with the young people in our program, mentors like yourself, uh, anybody, politicians, people at church, in the community, when they come to me with issues, a lot of that stuff I've already went through. And the one thing I know that is very real is that you just have to be sincere, be yourself, and listen is the key part of it. Listen to what they're saying, and then let them know there is no issue that's not going to pass. You know, when you think about it, today is yesterday's tomorrow. And so whatever you had as a problem yesterday and stuff, and you worry about tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, tomorrow will be here again. And you have another opportunity to deal with it, let things go, and just problem solve. Because most people have the solutions. They just have to think about it a little bit. And I just try and steer and guide people. And I do it from the heart because that's the only way it really works.
And you can definitely feel that with everything that you do. Like I've been so excited to do this this interview. So what I remember when I first started my business, and you told me you were like, you know, that's one of the best decisions you and your wife ever made. One thing I would like to get into, because I know you have iron sharpens iron, but I believe you've done some other things as well. And I would like to hear more about the things you've done, and the challenges that got you there, but more specifically, some of the challenges that happened early that really propelled your success in the future. Like even things from like childhood and all that. Like we really like to dig deep here on this show. Uh, so yeah, if you could tell me more about those things, thank you.
Well, let's start at childhood.
All right.
One of the things that happened because my father was ill, um, and they were kind of experimenting on him in the VA doing open heart surgery. He had a leaky valve, so they put a pig valve in him. He was no longer able to provide for the family for a number of years. There were three boys and a girl. My older brother simply was not interested in doing anything but having fun. So feeding the family and making sure that we were able to do stuff, a lot of that fell on me. My mother worked every day, but she didn't make enough money to take care of all the expenses in raising us. And so I started doing things at a very early age. I think I was 12 years old when I started selling grit newspapers out on the street. I saved enough money to buy a used lawnmower, and I started cutting grass. And my uncle came to me one day and said, "You just like your granddaddy." And I found out that my granddad was an entrepreneur. He had a lumber company where he would go into the woods, cut trees down, and sell the wood to the paper mill. And so that kind of inspired me, and I knew that I could do it. I could work for myself and provide for my family. So I started there, and my family very rarely went hungry because I would go out and do whatever I need to do to make it work. I would get money. I would go into the woods and I would pick wild onions and salads and you know with dandelion greens. I would go out to the dock and get fish that people wouldn't want to eat. They didn't eat catfish a lot, so I would pick up catfish. Some of them I would cut up and use for bait and fish again myself, and catch fish and bring it to the house so we would have stuff to eat. I did that for until I, you know, really got out of high school and stuff. I continued to work. When I went into the military and I changed my perspective on stuff, and I really wanted to do things on my own, but I worked within those systems, became an NCO. And when I got out, I thought everything would work out wonderful. So I got me a job at Memorex. I began at the bottom, worked my way up to middle in this whole hierarchy of stuff, and I began to train other people. Memorex would promote them over me. And I would look at this and say, why am I doing this? I can do stuff for myself. And so after they did that about 4 or 5 times, I decided for my 30th birthday that I would not work for anybody else. So I quit my job at Memorex. I started a business. That first business was called Cards for the Yard. I made signs for different celebrations. I would make storks and make blue and pink ones. I would make birthday stuff, wedding stuff, and I would rent those signs and put them out in people's yards when they had different events. So that was the first business. And then I committed to going back to school full time. When I got to school full time, I needed more money. The cards for the yards was just not enough. So I started a documents processing business for people who were getting evicted. I would file paperwork for them so that they can extend their stay in their homes. And from that, I started a mortgage company. I started my first mortgage company um, doing hard money times. So I was doing hard money loans with interest rates of about 21%. But that was bad timing, but it worked. And it taught me the mortgage industry. So I started doing all those kind of things on my own. But it was rough, man. I made very little money in the beginning. I was homeless for a while. Me and my wife were homeless. And one cold night, we were sleeping in a van. I had a van, and I would cook on a hibachi for the family. It was so cold, the kids were just stirring and stuff. And I had to conserve gas, so I couldn't just crank the engine up and warm up the vehicle. So after I cooked, I put the hibachi inside the van, only to do it for a few minutes. I thought just to take the chill off the air, and I forgot about it. And then my daughter, first my son started acting up, and then my daughter, after I yelled at my son, my daughter, she just kind of rolled back and her eyes rolled back and she started to swallow her tongue. And I knew that it was carbon monoxide poisoning. And so I jumped up to open up the van and grab my daughter to pull her tongue out. And in doing that, I knocked the blanket over on top of the hibachi. The whole inside of the van caught on fire. I had to get the family out and hold my daughter's tongue because she was virtually unconscious and stuff. And surrounding people called for the ambulances and stuff, and they finally came and rushed them to the hospital. But I almost lost my family that night. I knew I had to do some other things. And so I just started hustling, man, took to the streets. Um, some of the things I did, I'm not very proud of again because I had to survive, man. So I started selling some drugs. I did some other things that I'm not that proud of. You know, I owned for a while, I owned my own escort service. I've done all those kind of things, but it was only a stepping stone or just steps until I can get something more legitimate that I'd be proud of. And so I worked my way into some legitimate businesses and stuff, going to school. The mortgage company did me okay. I did all right with that. And I just started doing other things that really worked out. We opened up a chain of preschools. Um, I started my own screen printing embroidery business. Um, I did promotional products. I've done all kind of stuff, man. I consulted with companies just starting out. I went back to coaching football and getting a stipend for that. Became a substitute teacher also in the school district there. Taught everything from special eds to math to English to history to PE. And so I got a lot of side hustles. I made more money than I ever made um, legitimately before and was able to invest, buy our first home, and we never really looked back. From that point on, I worked just me and my wife. We worked for ourselves, and it's been a real blessing. And I really believe in entrepreneurship because I would not be where I am today had I kept a job at Memorex. I can tell you that.
So that's amazing, coach. Like, um, I'm really, really excited here. I got a few questions and things I want to touch on. One of the beautiful moments that you mentioned was the mowing lawns when you were younger. Because I actually had a similar experience where my whole entire life as a child, my dad always said, get a job. I want anything. I'll be 4 years old. He'd tell me, get a job. And finally I grabbed a lawnmower and I went door to door and I basically started my own route with lawnmowers. And but like the like the sometimes, anybody can be an entrepreneur, but there's always those little moments that I think that people need to really pay attention to, is those moments of you don't accept you won't accept um someone else figuring it out. Like you don't wait for someone else to figure out your issue or your problem. You start to find your own ways. One thing I really want to touch on too is the moment when you were 30. That that singular moment where you said, that I'm not going to work for anybody again. Could you tell me a little bit more about the fear that had behind that? Like, because when you're making a promise to yourself like that, like we're done, there's no going back. Like that's a special moment, right?
It certainly is, man. I had the confidence that I can do stuff on my own. Here's the problem: I had a family. Had I done this and I was single, I would not have felt that much anxiety. But I had a wife, I had to pay rent, I had two children, I had bills to pay. And when first of all, what I did is I told Memorex that I was quitting. I gave them my 2 weeks notice. The day of my birthday, I woke up and my wife said, "Hey, you better get up. You're going to be late for work." And then I announced to her that I no longer have a job. I quit. And man, she was really upset. She was livid and stuff. What are you gonna do? How are we gonna make ends meet? And I told her that's on me. I would deal with that. So I used my creativeness and I started the cards for the art business. And I went back to school, my GI Bill, and that money from the GI Bill also helped substitute expenses. But I had to hustle, man. I was not going back. I had I had done a lot, man, with Memorex, and I trained a lot of people, and I didn't feel that they respected me as a person, and it was time. It was time to do this, and I had confidence in myself, but I put a lot of pressure on myself because of the family.
Mhm.
Um, but I'd say inside of a year, I realized that was one of the best moves I ever made because now it was not about a 7 to 3 kind of job. That was over. I worked 6, 7 days a week. I would work as many as 20 hours a day. It didn't really matter, but it was mine. So I didn't mind getting up. I didn't care about the weather. I didn't care about going to a ball game. I didn't care about what was on television or what the friends were doing, going to the club. All that was over. My first priority was making sure I had enough revenue to take care of expenses and then make some money that I can reinvest. Um, and so that's what I did. There's another player in this, though, two players in this that are prominent right now that also helped me out. Now, this is ironic, but I began to follow Robert Kiyosaki and Donald Trump at that time for investments and
Yeah.
stuff. They had The Art of the Deal, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all those books about investing in stock, investing in real estate, all that kind of stuff. I really began to study that stuff and I started doing it. And a lot of that stuff worked for me. And
Yeah.
so, um, despite all the other stuff that's going on with Donald Trump and all that right now, that period of time, Donald Trump helped me get to be a pretty productive investor. And yeah, option trading and stuff like that was a real good thing for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's one of those things too where you always get what you put in. Like
Yes.
like with my company, Arizona Off Grid Solutions. um I tried my first solar grid and completely screwed it all up.
Yeah.
And I sat down and I read books on top of my electrical training. And you just got to get through and figure it out and get to that point, find what resonates. There's a lot of people who want to be an entrepreneur and they're not ready for the sacrifice. And that's one thing that they got to realize. Another big thing to touch on is and I know it might be hard for you, but I'm going to touch on it, was that moment in the van Like, I don't have children yet. I want children, I want a family. And I've had my low moments, but I could not imagine what it was like to take that leap and to have that faith in yourself and to keep pushing. And that moment in the van there, of course, I have this saying where I'm like, a man's got to do what a man's got to do sometimes, right? That I won't tell people what's the right or wrong answer. I'll tell people to understand the consequences if you do or don't do. What are the consequences if I don't do this? What are the consequences if I do this? And what's worth it? And taking care of your family. And I do believe a man's job is to take care of his family by any
Absolutely.
means necessary.
Absolutely. Yes.
So like that moment right there where you hustled, you had to do what you had to do. I think that that's a big thing for the audience to really understand, because a lot of people will get to moments in their life where they'll think that they're a bad person because they've made decisions. But God loves you. We
Yeah.
Everybody loves you, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, so like I think that that's just really really amazing. I just wanted to emphasize that for the audience is the moment where you hustled because you saw what was going on with the family. If I'm correct, you saw what was going on with the family and you were like, no, no, like no. And yeah, if you want to talk a little bit more about it or anything.
Absolutely. Nothing means more to me than my family and my family name Williams. Nothing means more than that. Integrity is what I base my whole life on, doing the right thing. And part of that right thing is taking care of your family first. They come before anything. So I had my two children there and my wife. And when I jumped up, because this was on me, that neglect of having that hibachi in there that long was on me. I knew better. I knew about carbon monoxide poisoning. I knew better. I got comfortable. They quieted down. The kids got comfortable. Everybody was good. So I just forgot about it. But once I saw first my son, I just thought he was getting restless. So I yelled at him. Then when my daughter kind of went back and I knew she had kind of fainted, just was out of it, I realized what was happening. So in my reaction and in my haste, uh, trying to get to her and open the door, get everybody out and stuff, I knocked the blanket over on the hibachi and created a fire. And after that night, once they retrieved her and resuscitated her, um, I was committed to do whatever I needed to do to make sure that my family was provided for. And I was in California, had just got out of the military, didn't have many people that I knew, and I was real prideful, so I didn't like to ask for help. But what happened is I went to a dude that I had met, him and his wife and his kids, and I told them what happened. um, the name was Earl and Helen Godhigh. And Helen said, why don't y'all move in with us? They had a big house and stuff. Until you can get on your feet, just move in with us. That saved me because I was just about broken. I was going to head back to Florida, which I really didn't want to do. So once they got me in there, then I knew I needed to contribute to that household also. And so I began to hustle, man. I did what I felt I needed to do. So one of the hard parts is the lesson that I learned in that is forgiveness. You got to learn how to forgive yourself for those kind of decisions that you made when you didn't know any better. You're doing the best that you can, best based on what you know. All right. So when you're doing that to survive, sometimes you would do stuff that's not the wisest thing to do in the world, and just to survive, because that's what you know how to do.
Mhm.
And once you know better, you do better. Once you understand that, then you have to forgive yourself for those things that you did. And if you can go back and apologize to some people you might have hurt along the way, then that is also therapeutic for yourself to be able to kind of clear the air with some of the people that you took advantage of while you was doing that kind of stuff. So I'm forever grateful to the God highs for taking us in, allowed me to get on my feet, get us a place, and yeah, it's been good ever since.
And they also say that you find your true gifts and your true purpose in your dark in your darkness.
Yes,
And yeah, so like those moments and everything. Is there anything more you want to touch on that? But yeah, you like try to yeah. They say that you find your true purpose in your darkness, your gifts, everything, and what you can give. Because I see that I'm seeing the correlation here because I know you and everything. About how this then correlates into iron sharpens iron and everything else that you have going on. One of the also the amazing things is that I want to emphasize for our audience is how many things you've done, because there are so many people out there that think that they have to just choose this path. Like you have to just you choose this path and that's it. You're stuck on this path. There's nothing else after that. It's just you're stuck on this path. But it's not like that. It's a tree that branches and branches and branches, and you have no idea where you're going to end up. You just start the journey, right?
that's
So,
it. And
yeah.
when a door opens, then you can't be afraid to walk through that door. Even if you fail while walking through that door, that's a lesson to learn when you walk through there that you can apply later in life in another area to help you succeed. The key is just don't quit. You cannot quit. You just got to keep pushing through and improving. You got to have concrete steps to doing whatever you want to do. Plan your work, work your plan. And that's the only way to make it succeed. So you can measure yourself, you can measure your steps and stuff, but never be afraid to walk through a door. There are no guarantees that anything you try is going to succeed. So if it doesn't, pivot, get the next thing going, learn from that, and just try to be a good steward of what you're blessed to use and make it work for you. And that's what we try to do now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. Uh, so now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on was, of course, iron sharpens iron, and how that all came about, yeah, we'll just start there with how that all came about and how that all started.
Well, Iron Sharpens Iron started because me and two other gentlemen from my church, First African Methodist Episcopal Church, got together and started looking at some of the problems that they were having with young people in schools, with gangs, with guns, and all kind of disrespect and violence. So we would meet at Denny's every Saturday, and we would discuss the problems that were going on here in Las Vegas and in Clark County, and what we could do to try to help that and cut back on some of these issues. So after months of us meeting, because I had experience being a mentor in California. I've been doing this for over 45 years now. So I had a mentoring agency in California called One in a Million. OIM, One in a Million was my program. Uh, so the other two gentlemen had faith in me and confidence in me because I've had that experience and because I knew what it took and because I understand about evidence-based programs, that we decided we would start Iron Sharpens Iron. And we sat there in Denny's, we mapped it all out. We realized that we needed a good place to get kids who were good kids but had done some silly things, and we decided to go through the court system, through diversion court and family court, to get those kids. So we would go down and we would sit in the court. They didn't know who we were, and I would sit in and just watch and watch. And then a person that I knew from the community was also there, and he was also a mentor. He introduced me to the judges, and he introduced me as a man of integrity. And because of that, the judge decided to give me a small chance and a try and give me a couple of boys to work with. I was very grateful for the opportunity. That first group of boys were four boys. It was so rewarding because those young men They took to us because the main thing we showed them is that we really did care, and that what they did was not so bad that their life couldn't be changed. I wasn't throwing them away. I didn't care what their parents thought. I didn't care about them having uh, a court case or bad in school. None of that happened to bother me at all. I don't care what they did in the past. What mattered to me is from that first day that they came to me moving forward. And we got together with them. We really mentored them for 12 weeks, for 2 hours a day at the church. And it worked. When they went back to court, they came in and they were so respectful to the judge. Yes, sir. No, sir. Look the judge in the eye. Just he's another man. Just look at him. Talk to him. Be loud. Be respectful. If they came to court with their mother, pull the chair out for your mother. Let your mother sit down first. All those things they show them that you're respecting the court, respecting yourself, respecting the your parents and everything else, and that you sincerely want to make up for the errors that you made in your life. So after we did that, they got rid of all the other male mentoring programs in diversion court. They gave us all the kids. And that is how we got it started, right there in Denny's, from a thought, and three committed people, all veterans that wasn't afraid of the kids. It didn't matter what the kids did, they all deserved another chance. And we opened the door to get that to them. And one of those keys was to make sure the parents understood that I wasn't doing this for the parents. I'm not doing this for the court. I'm only doing this for the kids. And I'm only doing it for them because Coach Cushon did it for me. And so the parents have to trust us with their kids because it's about confidentiality. The kids, if we went back and told the parents everything that was said in the mentoring session, the kids would never open up. And so they have to trust us for 12 weeks. And it works. It absolutely works for the majority of the kids. Um, there are exceptions to every rule. You know, the kids have free will. So if they don't want to do it, if they don't want the help, I can't make them take it. But if they want it, then I'm willing to work with them. And that's it.
Yeah. As one of the people who mentors in your program, one thing that I have noticed too is like, well, to the kids that are hard to work with or won't or have issues listening and everything, you're still planting these seeds. The seeds are planted. That's something I've noticed being there for a year and a half now, where I've seen some. You'll see these some kids who start and it's just wow, and then you start to see these subtle differences and these subtle changes, and then I've also um I think one of the greatest moments I've had when I was leading a class was I remember we started and there was this one kid. He kept he was a cool guy.
Mm.
You know, he was the cool guy, and everything was cool. He was late, and then I kept talking with him. I kept working with him, but I'll never forget what he said to another mentor, and it made me so proud. I think it was the 11th week or so. Uh, Mentor asked him about his friends. Like he was like, "Well, what are you going to do if your friends were doing this or something like that?" And he looks this mentor dead in the face and says, "I don't hang out with people like that anymore."
Ah, that's what
And
it's about. Yeah.
it's amazing. And I think like one of the other beautiful things about how Iron Sharpens Iron is set up is because of that whole thing. We're not doing it for the parents, we're doing it for the kids. Because, like you said, like if we were to go and tell the parents about every single thing that they say, we would just be like anyone else in their lives that just tells on them. And one of the beautiful things is that you'll get the kids that it seems like they've never had a voice before, like they've been
Mm.
scared to speak up, and then when you finally hear them and they speak up, and they can't be quiet, and it's one of the most amazing things to just watch. And another thing that like I always try to say to like a lot of these kids, because a lot of these kids who are they say bad, but
Hmm.
no kids are bad. No kids are, they're a product of their environment. They're always a product of some environment. And all they have to do is reframe in their mind, like reframe, because success success will use a lot of the skills that what they call bad that you would gain from going that route. It's just redirecting them towards success using those skills.
That is so true. The one thing that is important is that you give the kid a chance. If he's going to be successful in life, or she is going to be, because we do boys and girls, successful in life, one of the things you want them to do is question authority.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to know when and how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want people to come in and have no opinion, that follow us blindly. We have to build that rapport up when they come into the program. That takes 3 to 4 weeks before they trust us and stuff. If you don't do that, or if you push them too hard in the beginning, they simply gonna shut down or stop coming. I don't care if the kid is rebellious in the beginning. Doesn't matter to me at all, because I was that kid. I was
Mm-hmm.
the one that was very rebellious when somebody was trying to tell me what to do. So I want them to take their time, understand that there are some rules, some boundaries, the agreement that we make in that first real week that they mentor. They're the ones that choose the things to, that's going to be the boundary setters for them while they're in the program. So they're the ones that choose up to 30 things that everybody's supposed to do when they're in that program. That gives them a vested interest in the program, because now it's their voice that set the standards. And now they can be the one to hold other people accountable if they don't want to do what everybody agreed to.
No.
The mentor's job is simply to instill trust and to give them open ended questions to allow them to talk. The one thing I don't like to see, I know in week 1, 2, and 3, the mentor is going to have to do more talking. But by the fourth week, the mentor should not be doing that much talking. The kids should be talking. I want to hear what it is they got to say.
Mm-hmm.
All their lives, people have been telling them, you need to be seen and not heard. You talking too much. Shut up. That does not work if you're going to help somebody really get their issues out, let you know how they're feeling. If you don't get those things out in the open, you can never address the problem, because each individual person in there has their own issues. And it's not my issues or your issues that we got to deal with in these groups. It's those kids' issues.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to purge that out of them, let them bring it to the forefront, and don't shut them down unless they go off in some crazy tangent where you have to redirect them. But you
Yeah.
want them to talk. And that's very important. And we want the other kids to listen. And I guess that's why I use a talking stick,
Mm-hmm.
because for hundreds of years, people have gotten circles and they had, whether it's a peace pipe, a talking stick, or whatever it was, something that passed around. So the person who had the stick or the item was the one that had the floor. Everybody else listened. So it gives everybody a chance to talk. It gives everybody the opportunity to listen without everybody else chiming in. And that's how we get balanced uh, opinions out there for everybody. And if someone needs some help in refocusing their thought, we can do that without shutting them down. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to shut anybody down. So yeah.
Yeah. Ah, it's awesome. So you got an award recently, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I got a reward award 2 weeks ago for my community service to Clark County, Las Vegas. It was given to me for Iron Sharpens Iron mentoring. I've worked with over 1,600 youth since 2015 when we officially started this. And we have at least a 70% success rate of people not recidivating or changing for the better. It's not perfect. I have to make sure the parents understand that they're not going to come home and never make another mistake. That's not what it's about. But they recognize their patterns and stuff, and they would try to do the right thing because we drill into them integrity, integrity, integrity. And our definition of that for the boys is doing the right thing, even when no one else is looking. And we tell them that if they would try to use that for the rest of their life, I'd never tell them it'll make their life easy, but it would make their life better.
Mm.
And at night when they go to sleep, they don't have to worry about people taking what they earn honestly and the knowledge that they gain by doing the right thing. And as long as they're doing the right thing, if they need help and support in it, if they're trying to start their own business and they get a business plan and bring it to me and I like it, and it takes a little startup capital to get it going, I may fund it for them because I believe in the kid. I believe in them just taking the motivation, taking the steps that's necessary to write a business plan, and then I would guide them in that business plan to help them succeed if that's really what they want to do.
Yeah. And also, none of us, nobody gets anywhere without someone helping.
Yes.
And they say with entrepreneurship, the entire thing is to keep that energy flowing. As you rise, you reach your hands down.
Hmm.
Always, 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 constantly. So that's one thing about you, coach, that I really, really do know is that you're always reminding me. It's just that you will go to the ends of the earth for these kids. You'll go to the ends of the earth for anybody you consider family. You know, it's like you're my brother, and I appreciate having you in my life. Um, so the thing I also wanted to say was, what can my audience or any of us do for you, coach? And iron sharpens iron.
Wow. Okay. Well, your audience, if they're watching the news and doing things like that right now, they understand that there's a real problem with guns on the street. I have kids with gun charges that I get, and the access to guns is one of the things that I want to work on. I when I look at the gun problem, and I'm actually going to be talking to the boys this week about their thoughts on guns, why they feel they need them, how they get them, and all those kinds of things. But I realize that I cannot solve all the problems, all the ills of the town for why a kid feels they need to have a gun. I can't deal with the poverty issue. I can't deal with their environment. I can't deal with them living in a gang infested area. I can't deal with poor parenting. I can't do those kind of things. But what we can do, me and your audience and everybody else, is we can help secure guns for people who are gun owners, legitimate people who want to diminish the opportunity for people, young kids stealing guns. Because the most way they get them is that they break into houses and to cars, and people have guns in there, and they steal those guns and they take them on the street and they sell them or use them or hurt themselves. So what I want to do is a combination. In the past, I did a gun buyback program. The last time I did it, I got 180 guns off the street in Clark County. People are not giving up guns like that right now by themselves, but there are still some seniors who might have lost a loved one and they got guns in the house, don't know what to do with them. So I want to be able to accept those guns and make sure we dispose of them the right way. But the main thing I want to do is I want to provide gun safes for responsible gun owners. So I'm hoping to meet with a gentleman that owns a gun safe store. I'm hoping that he donates some. I want to raffle some safes off, and I want to get discount coupons for other people to be able to purchase gun safes for their home and for their cars, especially their cars, so they can secure those weapons, making it harder for people to go in and just steal them. It is not enough to put the gun up on the top shelf in the closet. It
Mhm.
is not enough to buy one of those little gun locks with the little latch and stuff that you lock up with a key. The kids just cut that or break it. You can actually snatch it and it'll open up. We need legitimate gun safes that we can secure those weapons in and make sure that people who don't know the combinations to get into those gun safes. And that is what I want to do. I think, and if your audience want to help me with that, I'm absolutely accepting donations so that I can get as many gun safes as I possibly can. And I want to launch this program hopefully in January of 2025.
Coach, my audience and I'm sure you do. Everybody knows I'm a very very avid gun owner. I have many guns. I enjoy them. I love them. The Second Amendment, love it all. But I also teach gun safety to people. And I also always explain to everyone that you need to have your gun secured. You don't brag about them. You don't show people where you leave them. You always make sure it's secured. Like I have a concealed carry permit, but I don't bring my pistol anywhere unless I know for sure that I can always know where, like, it's always going to be somewhere near me, or else I don't bring it because I don't trust leaving it in my car. I
That's
don't
right.
tr- Yeah, the most scariest thing in the entire world for a gun owner is to have someone steal your gun. But on that note too, coach, I wish now that you're mentioning that, I need to look in my old contacts because I actually had a contact for an entire warehouse in Las Vegas where they take so like say a safe gets scratched on its way to the owner, it's
Right.
too expensive to ship them all the way back. So they all get stored in a warehouse in Las Vegas. I got my gun safe for 500 bucks and it's a huge gun safe. So I'm going to try to look up that number and get that to you where you can contact them because all the gun safes that got hurt during transit and everything, so they might have a couple scratches on them. They're all sizes, everything are sitting in a huge warehouse in Las Vegas. So I will try to get you that number as well. Um, on the next thing, because we got to start wrapping up here. Um, I want to ask, I know that you're looking for mentors. I know that you're also donations and everything like that. What along those lines too as well. With Iron Sharpens Iron, where can people go? Where could they donate? Where can they mentor? Let us know all the pathways to get there.
If you want to donate and or become a mentor or just be a volunteer with your skill set, you can go to our website. This ironmentors.com. IronMentors.com. On that website, you'll see places that you can donate your money, you can volunteer and donate your time. But if you want to be a mentor, you fill out an application on that website to become a mentor. Now, that takes a little more commitment because they're 12-week sessions. And once the kids start with you, I need for you to be there for the entire 12 weeks because that's how they build a trust with you. All right. We will do a thorough background check on every mentor. So we're SAPTA certified. So we have to go through a background check to make sure that the mentors are fit to do that as far as the FBI and everybody else is concerned. But we need to help. I need men and women ages 21 and above that want to help us. Uh, the men, if you want to mentor, we mentor primarily on Saturdays from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock primarily. And the ladies, if you want to mentor, we do it on Monday evenings from 6 o'clock to 7:30. And we do all the mentoring at our site at 1300 South Jones Boulevard, Suite 150. That's near the corner of Jones and Charleston, inside the Real Talk building. I would love to have you just come by, audit it, see what we do. And if you're interested, then I have you sit in a couple of times. And if you fill out an application, we'll start the process. So I love to have you.
And it is truly rewarding. It's probably one of my most favorite things to do during the week. I get so excited whenever I can get in there, and it's I try to come as much as I humanly possibly can. And the thing is that even if your work schedule starts to get a little crazy, other mentors will cover in for you and help make sure that we get there no matter what. So, and you'll also be joining a family. Um,
The
so is
last thing on that mentoring thing, my program is about helping kids to save lives. They're self first and then others. I'm not into teaching etiquette. I'm not into teaching some of the other things that other mentor programs are very good at. That is not what I'm doing. I'm trying to get kids to change the way they look at life, to have a dream, identify that dream, and then come to us and let us help them facilitate that while surviving in the streets, at school, dealing with authority figures, what to do when they go to court, interacting with the police. Those are all things that are very important in the climate and in this city that we live in. So those are the things that we focus on. And if you want to help us do that, please come join Iron Sharpens Iron.
awesome. Now, is there anything else that you would like to speak on about entrepreneurship, about yourself, about your journey, or anything else that you feel that you would like to add?
Well, one of the things for some of these people who own their own businesses or have different skills, we're going to institute our YAS program back in 2025, and that is the Youth Entrepreneurial School series. And that I would like for people to have those skills to come and talk to the kids and tell them about some other options. Let them know that they can do it. Everybody's not going to go to college. Everybody's not going to be built for that kind of stuff. So if they want to be a welder, if they want to be a mechanic, if they want to learn IT stuff, if they want to be a financial planner, all those things, we want people who are doing it to actually come in and talk to the kids to let them know that, yeah, it's available to them, and perhaps maybe even let them shadow you and see your business so they can see what they can do if they apply themselves.
Mhm. All right. Thank you so much, Coach Williams. It's been an absolute honor to speak with you. I feel like I got to know you a little bit more, and hearing some of your background has also made me feel even more comfortable around you with my own crazy background. So thank you so much, Coach Williams. I appreciate you coming on out here and speaking with me.
It has been my honor. I will always serve. I'm always there for the community. And Steve, brother, I'm always for you there
Mhm.
because you're a family, brother. So
Oh, well.
take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night.
Yep. Have a good one. Thank you.
You're welcome.